for me yesterday. I was busy emceeing the Saginaw Fire Department Awards ceremony, which I do every year, and I appreciate Joe sitting in. Couple of things. First of all, give you an idea what's happening this morning. Open phones this hour, 989-752-6111, whatever you want to talk about. 10 o'clock, we will talk to Anisha Stanley. She has an organization called Keys of Hope, and we will find out what that's all about. At 11 o'clock, there is a collector's market coming to Fashion Square Mall, and we will learn about that. Also, I wanted to follow up on something that we were asked on Monday. We had a caller on Monday ask about the concert that was scheduled at Swan Valley's new Performing Arts Center on the 15th. Sheriff Bill Fetterspiel and his 10-piece band were going to do a concert there to raise money for them. And unfortunately, that concert had to be canceled. And the caller was correct. It was canceled. However, because Bill's band was already booked and his sound guys were already booked, the sheriff has decided to hold a free concert, what he calls a concert dress rehearsal, at Holly's Bar and Grill at State in Midland, right on the point there. Same night, Wednesday, October 15th, from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. And the band is going to be performing Bob Seger, Tom Jones, Elvis, Huey Lewis, even some Backstreet Boys and Bruno Mars, according to the sheriff. So they have taken a negative, which was the cancellation of the Swan Valley High School concert, and turned it into a positive. A free concert and dress rehearsal, again, at Holly's Bar and Grill, State in Midland, and that will be on Wednesday, 1 week from today, 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. So thought we wanted to pass that on to you and answer that caller's question. I told her I would find out, and find out I did. As I mentioned, open phones. I got to start out by talking about the Tigers. I have an explanation. People have wondered how the Tigers of the first half of the year, with bats ablazing, waltzed through their opponents to have a commanding lead, winningest team in baseball at the time. And then came the All-Star game, and things were not as bright in the second half of the season. And the bats went cold, and everybody says, well, where's the hitting? What's going on here? Well, I would like to point something out. In this day and age of metrics, electronics recording, and all of that data, pitchers have become very smart and catchers have become very smart because they all have readouts of what each batter does. And they learn how to pitch around these batters. Now, at the same time, if you see a pitcher often enough, you learn how to hit around a pitcher. But there is far more data for the pitcher to figure out how to get around the batter than there is for the batter to get around the pitcher. And we are seeing the results of that. They get hot in spurts, but they have not been consistent. And usually something breaks loose after a downturn. I'm hoping that today is break loose day and the bats unwind and they rack up a lot of runs and they remember how to do it when they get back to Seattle on the 5th game of the series. Because if the Tigers lose today, their season is done. This is your back is up against the wall game today. So we hope that the bats come out fighting. Mize is on the mound for the Tigers. That's good. we'll see what happens. Last night they lost 8-4. They looked like they were making an attempt to come back, but it was in the bottom of the ninth inning, and they had a 7-run deficit to overcome, which they just couldn't do. So they are down 2-1. They are facing elimination if they lose today. And if there is a reason to have hope, I first of all have a great deal of confidence in A.J. Hinch. I think he's just an outstanding tacticianer when it comes to baseball. The other thing that it was good news was that they were forced to use their closer yesterday. The Mariners were. And he might not be available to pitch today. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But let's all keep our fingers crossed that the bats come alive and the Tigers continue life in the postseason. It would be nice because last year they, of course, were knocked out in the first round in the division series where they're in that right now is where they got knocked out last year. So let's hope that things are better this year. All right. We are going to take a break and then get to our phones when we return here on WSGW. We live in Michigan. And, of course, that brings driving challenges with slippery roads. But you can prepare for them by giving yourself a margin of safety. And one of the things that does that are winter tires. They are different. And here's John from Quick Lane to explain how.
Hello, Art. Yes, winter tires are made with a pliable rubber compound that includes silica to stay flexible and maintain grip in freezing temperatures. Unlike harder all-season tires, which stiffen and lose traction in the cold, this flexible compound allows the tire to better conform to the road surface, providing superior grip and traction on snow and ice to keep you safe.
Thanks, John. Stop into Quick Lane Freeland today. Have them inspect your tires and tell you whether you need new ones or not. And while you're there, also have them check your cooling system to see if it's ready for the cold weather ahead. Also, remember, McDonald Ford has all the new Ford models and a range of quality pre-owned vehicles for any budget. Quick Lane and McDonald Ford, two names standing ready to serve all your automotive needs. And let me remind you, you can buy your winter tires, or any other tire for that matter, for just $5 over cost at Quick Lane Freeland. Stop in today. Take advantage of that great sale.
For generations.
All right, we're back with you here on WSGW, and to our phones, Gene is up in Bay City. Gene, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for letting me talk and give my opinions. I appreciate it. You have such a happy show so far. I hate to change directions, but now Trump in the past has said that he hates Democrats. Well, when he is talking about the enemy within, he's mainly talking about the Democrats. And now he wants to put the military into the blue states, the Democratic governors and so on. Now, when they had all the generals and admirals and everything in the big meeting, when Trump was talking and giving a speech, he said he wanted to put the military into certain states because of the enemy within. He's saying he wants the military to go against the Democrats mainly. That's his main purpose. You know, it's understandable that he would want vengeance on people that tried to impeach him and so on. But I truly believe he wants vengeance on all Democrats.
No, let's hold on a minute. First of all, yeah, it's true that he wants to put the troops into the cities in the blue states. But they're not there to arrest Democrats. They're there to arrest criminals. Hello?
So eventually we'll probably have a Democratic president.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when we have a Democratic president, then he can take and move the troops from the blue states to the red states.
If there's crime in those red state cities.
I mean, you sound like the only states that have crimes are the blue states.
No, but
the red states don't have any crime.
The red states have crime, but not to the degree that some of these blue cities have, where they've reduced their laws to allow for criminals not to get prosecuted in many cases. They've brought this on themselves, Gene, with the defund the police movements, which turned out to be really bad ideas. They've brought a lot of this on themselves. Now, I will tell you this. The use of the National Guard, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of it. And I certainly am not a fan of the regular military. But I'm a fan of the regular military. I'm not a fan of the regular military going into these cities because technically and legally and constitutionally, that's not their job. They should protect the country at its borders and beyond. But having said that, I would find other federal resources to go in. If it means, pumping up the FBI and the ATF and Homeland Security, so be it. But these cities are, Chicago, Pritzker, the governor says, oh, no problem in Chicago. We got it under control. He said that right after the weekend where 9 people died and 58 others were shot. It's ridiculous. Chicago has an out of control crime rate, and something needs to be done.
No. To me, you could give extra money to these cities to hire a lot more police officers.
You missed the point. Those same cities were the ones that kept professing defund the police. Why would you give them more money?
At one time, there were some Democrats that said that, but not right now. They're not saying that.
No, they all found out what a mistake that was, and now they're paying for it.
Well, the thing, if Trump would give these like Chicago, give them a big fund to hire a lot more police, that would be great. But Trump can't control the police. But he has complete control of ICE and complete control of the military, and that's why he doesn't want more police. He wants the military in there because he can control them.
Well, you can look at it that way. I don't.
Well, I never thought we would have military control in America.
We don't.
And I know nobody wants to hear any comparison with what happened in Germany.
You're right.
But the beginning, when Hitler was coming into power,
I'm going to stop you there because I am not allowing comparisons to Hitler, to this president or any other president, because it's so far out of line. Hitler was a maniac, and he rounded up millions and millions of people and put them in stalags. the comparison pales, and I just will not allow it. And you know what? And I'll tell you something else, Gene. You know why the Democrats lost the last election? They lost the last election because all they did was name call. All they used were words fascist, Nazi. They didn't have a single program to tell us about. They just went on an accusation run, and they lost the election. And if they keep doing it, they'll lose again.
Musk said he won the election because of the money that Musk gave. Everybody's got all their own personal opinions, but if you don't learn from history,
well, the Democrats
history repeats itself.
You're right, and if the Democrats don't learn from that last election, history will repeat itself. You're absolutely right. All right, got to run.
Thank you for listening.
All right,
God
Gene.
bless you.
Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
I just, I'm sorry. I'm tired of that. Let's talk about issues in this country that we face that we can solve. How about we figure out how to better educate our kids? What do you think? How about we better figure out how to control the costs of health care in this country? How about we figure out how to control the economy in this country so we can afford to live here? Lots of issues out there we could be talking about. So let's. Why do we have to just simply result to name calling and comparisons? And I'm sorry. It's tiring. And it serves no purpose. None whatsoever. Now, do I agree with everything Trump does? Absolutely not. And do I like Trump? Absolutely not. Said that many times. I do think a lot of his policies are good for the country. I think he's done a lot of what he said he was going to do. And for that, I support him. But I don't know anyone who I 100% agree with. Sometimes I don't even 100% agree with me. But I'm not going to resort to name calling because I don't like the guy. You don't like his policies? Fine. State the case. Tell us what policies you don't like and why you don't like them. But name calling doesn't do anybody any good. And both sides are guilty of it. Trump included. He has this habit of assigning derogatory names to people. I do not like that. If you're going to have a civil conversation, you got to be civil to the people you're talking to. So that's all. I'll take a break. Lines are open for you, 989-752-6111.
It's natural to have questions.
All right, back with you. Lines open, 989-752-6111. And as of yesterday, we have a state budget. Governor Whitmer signed the new bipartisan Michigan spending plan. There are winners and there are losers in the plan, like every other plan before it. One of the big winners, of course, the governor ran on, when she first ran for governor, on Fix the Damn Roads. And then she put out a $3.3 billion bond issue to do it, but it only impacted federal and state highways. This time there is money in it for local roads. And they've done some shifting of the taxes and how it's all paid for, and added what turned out to be one of the more controversial things, a 24% wholesale tax on marijuana. Now, that's a wholesale tax, but it will show up in the retail price. And there are concerns, maybe legitimate, that it might drive people back to the black market for marijuana at a cheaper cost. Others think it'll actually help the marijuana industry because it will thin the herd because the industry overbuilt. Time will tell. But that money will go toward roads as well as other money. $51.8 billion for general government and over $24.1 million for education. They did hold back from the budget numbers Medicaid money. It's estimated that even though this budget comes in at about $75.9 billion, that the actual number, when they put back in the federal money, the Medicaid money and everything, the actual budget could be anywhere from $81 to $84 billion. It'll be interesting to see which numbers actually take hold. But we do have a budget. Randy is in Saginaw. Randy, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
Hey, just was wondering your thoughts on Ghislaine Maxwell. She was sentenced and convicted and sentenced to prison. Why on earth would we move her to another prison? I mean, I thought she...
the only thing I can think of, and I have no idea if it's true, it's just a guess on my part. The only thing I can think of is that they were trying to buy her cooperation on certain things, and that might have been part of a plea deal, if you will. I don't know. Other than that, and that's only a guess on my part. I have nothing to prove that. It's just, just a possibility, let's put it that way, that it was a negotiating tool. So I can't come up with any other reason.
But she sure didn't give us anything more than what did she give us, and what did she get? I mean, it doesn't look like the trade-off was very well planned.
Well,
for sure.
If that's what it was, you'd be right. I don't know.
What else could it be? I mean, it had to be
I don't know
for something.
I have no idea, unless it's a move made many times by others, depending on your behavior and all of that stuff. Prisoners do move from heavier security facilities to lesser security facilities. When the Department of Corrections says, well, this person is improving, they're not a threat, they have good behavior, people do move. But for her, because of her notoriety and publicity, I can't begin to tell you.
Yeah, and crimes of that nature, it seems really odd to me. Anyway, I'll just let you go with that.
Okay, Randy. Thanks. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
And we're going to go to Freeland and talk to Cam. Morning, Cam.
Hey, good morning. I was a police officer in Houston, Texas for years, and we learned pretty quickly that you can't argue with drunks. And nowadays, I would add to that, you can't argue with people who are misinformed, either they right wing or left wing. That said, it's my understanding that the soldiers are being put in there to back up ICE and other local police. And the other lady kept saying blue states. Well, Tennessee isn't a blue state. And I believe they're in Memphis, right?
Yep.
Is that correct?
I believe that's true.
So it's not limited to just blue states. It's limited to wherever they're refusing to enforce the law, and people are sick and tired of lawlessness.
Well, and it's one of the base reasons the president's expressed is because there's been actions against ICE, threatening actions, violence. So he's sending troops in to protect federal components.
As long as that's what they're there for, I personally don't have a problem with it. And if the blue cities don't want them in there, then start cooperating with the feds and ICE and whatever else is going on to try to enforce the law and get criminals off the street and illegals out of the country.
Yep.
If they don't want the troops in there, then start cooperating. It's simple as that.
Yep. Don't disagree. I agree.
That's my point today.
Good enough, Cam. Thanks.
And you can't argue with drunks.
Yeah, true. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
You bet.
Yep.
Bye.
And John in Bay City before we take a break here. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Art.
Morning.
I got a question. I was asking about the consumers. If you ever had anybody on your show from Consumers to answer questions about the new solar farm?
It's been a while, and that's a good idea.
So I have a couple questions to that when we do get them on. Is how much energy do we import from to the Bay City or Tri-City area from outside? You know, is it coming in from where's it coming from, the extra when we need it?
Yeah, I think Canada is the answer to that.
Okay. And how much backup, you know, along with that question, do we have in an emergency if we had an ice storm that took down some of our power here?
Yeah, you know, those are all good questions. And we will try and find somebody to give you some answers. They're good questions.
Okay.
You know, I have questions, too. I want to know, first of all, I've always heard wind and solar are never going to totally replace the generating capacity we have today. And and then the other questions I have to do with this big push to build AI facilities, which are energy hogs. How are we going to power those? I mean, you know, it just seems to me that that we need a better solution than this This is kind of excuse me, pie in the sky kind of thing.
Yeah, well, our electric bills keep on going up. Everybody's noticed.
Yeah, funny thing about that. Yep.
And I understand everything goes up, nothing goes down. But you know, you got to give. They're putting the solar in place of the plants that they took out of the Karn plant.
Yep.
And how does that benefit? How does that keep the people of this area safe if you need backup? As a backup?
Well, it depends how much it generates, and I can't answer that. I don't know how much energy that will generate compared to what the old Karn-Wettek plant did. So we will ask.
Where does that solar go? How does it benefit this area? Is it shipped out? Is it to stay locally?
No, it goes into the grid just like it always does for every plant. Where did the Karn-Wettek energy go? You know, it goes in the grid. So I'll stay in touch. And, all right, good.
I'll listen for when you get our representative. I'd appreciate it.
We'll try and do it sooner than later.
Real good. Thank you.
Take care, John. Bye-bye now. All right, we'll take a break, and then we will return after these notes.
Want a unique feature for your other...
And we are back with you on the Art Lewis Show, and Joe is in Saginaw. Joe, good morning.
Good morning. You know, I think we should pass a federal law that prohibits deficit financing. You know, I think we should be collecting taxes to balance the budget.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It'll never happen, unfortunately, but it would be nice.
Know. But the biggest expense in our current federal budget is interest on our debts.
Yep, and that money could be used to further the country and, you know, better lives and all of that stuff.
And you know, I know we keep electing people because they say, elect me and I'll reduce your taxes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's just craziness. You know, we should pay our debts as they come due.
Well, every state has to, including Michigan. It's constitutionally required you have a balanced budget. I just, and I you know, I studied it at one time years ago, the reason for it. And I seem to think it's triggering something in my mind that one of the reasons they don't have a balanced budget is to be able to infuse money in the military in time of war and crisis and all of that stuff. I don't subscribe to that philosophy. I subscribe to the balanced budget philosophy. I
remember years ago in when I was in college economics classes, and that was the issue. You know, we only use deficits to deal with emergencies.
Right. But the way I look at it, if we had a balanced budget, you could always, on an individual basis, pass a supplemental to fund whatever the emergency is. But that's not what happens.
I think that's true.
And it's just,
but I think, if we're going to